If you feel stuck or burnt out, like you've backed yourself into this corner and now you can't get out of it. Maybe you started a business out of passion and now it feels just like a job with you as the worst boss you've ever had. You feel exhausted and you give it your all every day, and somehow you have the same results. There's this quote that says, "The master key of knowledge is a persistent and frequent questioning." And this question, I believe, is one of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself if that's where you're feeling today. The question is this: what would you do if you could start again? Now, obviously, I don't mean, burning it all down, buying a one-way ticket to somewhere and just kind of disappearing, even though we all let those intrusive thoughts in from time to time. But if you're anything like me, it's super easy to set a goal and then just put your head down and start doing the thing and not necessarily give yourself the time to look up and look around and say, is this working? And is this even what I still want? We start into these endeavors as creatives, as entrepreneurs, because we're after freedom, and then quickly that freedom becomes obligation if we don't ask ourselves this question. So this question is powerful because it's not about erasing your past and running away from your problems. It's actually about redefining your future. So here's the challenge for today. I want you to open a new note or start with a fresh piece of paper. I want you to write down this question and be willing to answer it honestly. What would you do if you could start again? And to get even deeper and start pulling out some more real answers, I want you to do a quick internal audit on the things that drain you and the things that bring you life. So write down all of the things that drain the life out of you. Be honest with yourself, even if it's things that you feel like you're supposed to do, be honest. Are they draining you? And then on the other side, write down all the things that bring you life that you would do even if you weren't getting paid. Even if no one was watching, if social media didn't exist, what would you continue to do? And as you identify which tasks are falling into these columns, you can begin to eliminate or delegate these things that are draining you. And at the same time, you can begin doubling down on the things that excite you and bring you energy. And those things may be completely different than they were a year ago or even 6 months ago. This question was a huge unlock for me last year. I was running a company that I'd started called Ezco, where we sell digital assets, film grains, overlays, things like that to video editors. But over the course of 6.5 years, there's a lot of things that I added to the systems that overcomplicated things. I had hired an agency at one point. They built this incredible website. It got to the point where, because I'm not a coder or a developer, I didn't even know how to change my own website. I felt trapped in that system. I had started by selling these digital assets that were these tools, and then began evolving into education and building courses. But now I felt like the whole offer was complicated, and trying to bundle those two things felt really disjointed. There were even certain products that I wasn't super proud of that just felt outdated to me and weren't really making enough to justify the amount of work that was putting into having to maintain them. And so as I did this audit for myself of what's not working, what's draining me, what's giving me life, I began to identify these things and realized how easy it was to make changes in those areas. I realized that I wanted control of my website again. And so I started the process of switching from Shopify to Squarespace. I didn't like how complicated the sort of combination of tools and education was. And so I began the process of making all the education free and just turning it into basically like a really valuable lead magnet for the tools. And I just decided I'm going to delete or, archive these old products that aren't bringing me life anymore, that feel embarrassing to me for whatever reason. And the amount of joy and freedom that I experienced just in making those changes was it was a night and day difference in how I was stepping into my days, into my life. Even ending last year, I felt so much more satisfied and so much more excited. And I didn't have to burn the whole thing down. I just had to ask myself this question of what would I do if I could start again? For you, this might be as simple as those changes that I just mentioned, Or it might be more dramatic. It might be that there are things that, you don't necessarily want to burn down, but you want to put on the shelf for a minute. Or you actually feel like it's time to let go of. And that's okay. But the key is to be honest with this question and to allow yourself the time to really do this audit properly. You may not have asked yourself this question in one way or another in years. And so it might be a bit of a process to kind of identify what's going on. But as you start asking yourself this question on a more regular basis, whether that's quarterly or monthly or even weekly, you're going to start feeling this sense of recentering. You're going to start feeling this fresh energy, even for social media. This YouTube channel is a perfect example. I am feeling this fresh energy because I'm not stuck on my old Instagram page. I'm just starting a new channel here. And it's still me, but just a new expression. Or within your business, maybe there's a certain pattern that you've followed on social media that worked a year ago, but isn't working anymore. Maybe there's something new that you want to step out and do. And if that pattern was broken, you might see that there's some huge unlocks in your creative expression, in your revenue, in all those things. But I want to hear from you on this channel. And in the comments below, I'm going to start the discussion being honest about some things that I would change right now. Check out my answer, and then I would love to hear one of yours. If you found this helpful today, I'm going to give you the obligatory like and subscribe. But I look forward to hearing from you, and see you in the next one.